Yeah, I want to talk about hope. We'll talk about Barack Obama and this phenomenal campaign that he's put on. So many people have flocked toward Barack Obama. I remember speaking on the internet to an individual who said, well, they're just voting for him because he's black. And that's like simplistic. And so I want to just put my opinion out there. And what I see as far as African Americans, we have to recognize the hopelessness that African Americans have lived with ever since arrival, on the shores of America in chains as slaves. And so you're talking about hundreds of years of terrible, terrible, unimaginable oppression that folks had to go through. We look at Senator McCain, as an American hero because of a couple of years in the Hanoi Hilton, which I'm sure was terrible. But that even pales to the plight of the African American in this country. I mean, imagine, from their arrival, the terrible, terrible sufferings and oppressions and tortures and rapes and molestations of males and females, that property, that human beings that were properties to other human beings had to endure. And generations upon generations of that, You're talking about sort of a generational hopelessness over hundreds and hundreds of years. And so then you find, of course, emancipation in the 1860s, but still terrible oppression. It didn't stop there. And 100 years later, the Civil Rights Movement, terrible stuff that African Americans had to go through. Unfortunately, there were Caucasian Americans that walked with them where it probably wouldn't even have been successful, the Civil Rights Movement. But terrible, terrible oppression and things. Injustice and unfair treatment. Especially considering World War II and Korea, the sacrifices made, and then still coming back, suffering lynchings and mobs and terrible treatment. And even to today, it's way, way better than it was. I'm 50 years old, or I will be this year. And I've seen a lot in my time change. And it's a lot better now, a lot better now, but it's still there. And I believe that every person of color, every African American has experienced some type of negativity because of their race, whether it's the mother on the single mother on welfare to the congressman in Washington, D.C., have suffered some type of negativity within the last week, unless they're home on vacation, simply because of the color of their skin. And this right here, it's been so many years and so long, it's just something that's been accepted. Oh, well, this is just the way that it is. You're used to it. You don't even feel as offended as maybe one should, because this is just the way that it is. It's a hopelessness. And it's not a dire hopelessness, life and death, but it's just a situation that's totally unfair and aggravating and very hurtful, but it's just recognized this is just the way that it is. And so now we have this situation with Barack Obama, and it's like, man, renewed hope. But still, we look at folks like, the Clintons. This was before Bill, stopped being black. This was before Bill started acting up. And still owing allegiance to Bill, and all this stuff. But then when Bill begins spouting off some certain things that whether folks recognize it or not, African Americans, I think African Americans are more perceptive to innuendos and certain words, flag words and things, simply because of the history that we've had. And not really being able to do much about it. Understand this. When African Americans in this country have suffered terrible, terrible injustices, and been lied to and treated unfairly, we've always known there was just nothing that could be done about it. And hopelessness is just the way that it is. And so it's like, I was speaking to an African-American woman recently. She's almost 90 years old. And she was, oh, it'll never happen. There can't be a black president, blah, blah, blah. It's never happened, because she has lived in more hopeless times than I have. Even hard for me to believe that one would get this far. But it's like, well, maybe it can. Maybe our hopelessness is being, well, maybe it's not that hopeless. So it's not that Barack Obama is black and that's why he's being voted for. I believe our eyes are being opened as far as the reality of things are no longer hopeless, and anything is possible. And if this man has the sense and has the ability, see, before it wouldn't matter if you were charismatic. It wouldn't matter if you were smart enough. It wouldn't matter if you were charismatic enough. Simply the fact you were black, it wasn't going to work, and that's that. And now I think black people are beginning to realize that this country is changing. This country of America is getting better, and we're beginning to see something that we never saw before. And one of the things is so many white folks that are voting for Barack Obama, it's like, man, it was that helped us even begin to see the change in this country when white folks voted for this man. And so there are a lot of issues going on. A lot of black people were on Hillary's side because of Bill, because black folks loved Bill, when he was in office, that. But then when Bill began acting kind of funny and making certain statements, black people were begin to, wipe their eyes. Wait a minute now. And begin to see something, in Bill that maybe wasn't quite right. Something that say other white folks saw about Bill that black folks just didn't see. You know what I mean? And so I think black folks are just coming to a place of awareness that, this little hope is beginning to arise in us, that America is changing. And I believe now personally, when you look at, suppose Barack Obama becomes the next president of the United States. Now I'm telling you this, I work in juvenile detention. I minister in juvenile detention. That's what I do. I've been doing it for about 17 years now, talking to these little young people that are kind of jacked up, with their attitudes and with their opinions. And I believe that a lot of their crime, a lot of their negative attitudes and the way that they are is simply because of hopelessness. Now, they might not realize the hopelessness, but it's hopelessness. Now, there were generations and generations of hopelessness. This is just the way that it is, and this is who I am, and I'm responding, how I want to respond. Why does it even matter? Why should I even respect the authority? Because they don't respect me. But I'm seeing that I believe with all of my heart, if Barack Obama becomes the next president of the United States, there are black folks that are going to beginning to change. There are black folks that have been feeling hopeless all of their life that are going to realize something, that it's not hopeless. And their perception of America is going to change. Their self-perception is going to change. And they're going to be becoming better citizens. I believe that. I believe that with all of my heart. When you see so many people that have become part of the process that have never been part of the process, it's not just because this guy's black so I'm voting for him. No. It's because there is a renewed hope, a renewed excitement. I will participate in the process. I will be a part of America. I will be a better citizen. Because it's not as bad as it used to be. I'm telling you. The Bible says that in the book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter, I believe it's the 18th verse, is that where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, where there's no hope, the people die. In the American Standard Version, it says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. There's no reason to act right. There's no reason to be positive. When there is no hope, the people die. Maybe not physically die, but just die as far as their participation, as far as the goodness and the things that they should be doing. When there is no vision, when there is no hope. But when that hope is revived, when that hope comes alive, it's like living in darkness all of your life, and all of a sudden the light comes on, and now you want to begin to tidy up and clean up, and you can be well now. You can get yourself together. I believe America is going to see a change in black folks that is unprecedented, simply because of a hope, a revival of hope in the lives of those that have been hopeless for like 400 years. That's the way I see it. From another perspective.